Hello everybody. In this video, I'm going to walk you over on the full umpire process to solve this one. So let's start. So like always, here I copied down the problem statement. So let's read it again. Given two non-zero integers, print yes if exactly one of them is positive and print no otherwise. So let's figure out what given to us. We are given that the numbers are non-zero integers. So in terms of the sign, we have only two possibilities, negative or positive. Okay. So let's create a hypothetical table of those outcomes along with the final outcome. Okay. So possibility 1. Okay, I'm making a spelling mistake. Okay, 1, and then possibility 2. Okay, so over here we have number 1, number 2. Okay, so we can now write number 1 can take positive, number 2 can take positive. Okay, positive and positive, both positive. So final outcome, say final, and that's actually no. Okay, all right. So next possibility is negative and negative, and this is also no. Okay, all right. So let's go to the other possibilities. Okay, and the possibility 3. Okay, so this can be negative and this could be positive. In this case, it's a yes. So we need to print yes. And the final possibility, okay, possibility 4, this is positive, this is negative, and it's a yes too. Notice if we read it again, okay, print yes if exactly one of them positive. So these are the two scenarios. Okay. All right. So now we figured out, okay, what do we have to do in the scenario in which if exactly one of them is positive. So we figured them out and then wrote them down. So now we can think of, okay, so we need to check for these combinations. So we need to check the number 1 is positive, and if number 2 also positive, and we should print no. Okay, and we can write now over here, write and. Okay, because we are end up checking both conditions. Okay, and here too. Okay, and here too. Okay, and here too. So you need to check for if this is positive and if this is also positive, and you print no. Okay, all right. So seems like we require Boolean binary selection in here, right? So so what are the matches? The first exercise, in the first coding exercise, we did odd or even, and that's a good match example. Okay, odd or even. a match. So let's write down a plan for this one. Okay. Of course, we need to input number 1 and number 2, right? Input, excuse me, 1 and number 2. Next, and we can start writing our algorithm. Okay. So I would write if, so I'm going to go for the first line, if number 1 greater than 0 and number 2 greater than 0. Okay. Oops, sorry. Then my 2.1 step, because I am now inside my first condition, right? So print no. Okay. So it's 2.1. All right. So the next is we need to check this condition. Okay. So 3, if, so you copy this down and change accordingly. Okay. So now number 1 is less than 0. Okay. Number 2 also less than 0. In that case, I'm going to print, it's 3.1 now, print no as well. Okay. So, excuse me. All right. So, checking on the third line of the table. Okay. So, step 4. So, number 1 is negative now. So, less than 0. And this is positive. Okay. In this case, we have to print yes. So, it's actually 4.1. And I'm going to copy down this to the last step. So it's the 5th step. So in this case, number 1 is positive, number 2 is negative. Okay. Excuse me. All right. So in this case, excuse me, print yes too. So let's convert this plan to our code now. First step is input. So we need to get the 2 numbers. Okay. So number 1 equals int input. And then number 2 also the same. Excuse me. All right. So next step is we start our writing if clause, and as predicted by my algorithm, I can actually stick with unary selection. Okay. So one after the other, I am checking it. Okay. So I'm gonna copy this down and then change accordingly. Okay. All right. So okay. So all the numbers goes away, and all right. So print no. Yeah, I should have taken the string literals. That's fine. Okay. So the next one, All right, so also print no. Okay. Now here we print yes, and here also. Okay. All right. So let's check this condition again. So both positive, no. Both negative, no. One negative, one the other positive, yes. One positive, the other negative, yes. And I made a mistake there. It should be 2 over here. Okay. So I'm going to change it over here in the plan. All right. Okay. So let's check this out. Run this one. So let's give output -10 and -10, and we got no. Run again. Let's get positive. All right. So before submit, let's scan one more time and then see. So basically, we are done with the review. So running and debugging, it's considered review, part of the review. But let's analyze one more time the understanding. Like, I feel like I did more than I needed to do. Okay. So one thing is basically, if you feel like if you want to write your code more elegantly, or maybe you want to reduce the number of lines that you have written, you may want to go back and then check your understanding again. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. Basically, I want to make this code more elegant. Okay, so let's go back over here. I am going to do this. I'm going to write, okay, the product of the two numbers too. Okay, so over here, maybe I can add one more column. Okay, product. Okay, so product, when both are positive, this become positive. Okay, when both are negative, that also become positive. And when one of them negative, the product become negative, and one of them again here also negative. Okay, now we can see that. Okay, oh, this should be, sorry, this should be positive. Okay, now we can see clearly that if we consider the product, we only need to check whether the product is positive or not, right? When both, when one, at least one of the number is, when they have opposite signs, it's yes in both case, and the product is negative. And when they are both negative or both positive, answer should be no, and the product is positive. So instead of checking all these, we only need to check the sign of the product. So let's check that. So I'm going to change my plan. So this could be plan 1 and this could be plan 2. Okay. And that would be basically 1 input. So I'm going to copy this line. All right. And then step 2, if number 1 times number 2 less than 0, we print no. Okay, so 2.1 print no. Else 3.1 3.1 print yes. Oh, this should be print yes. Sorry about that. Yes, and if otherwise, if it is positive, basically we print no. Okay. Now you see that this algorithm has only well 5 lines, and I have more than 5 lines here, right? So that means I should be able to get some elegant code for that. So I'm going to block this one, and implementation 2, okay, basically going to be much simpler. So I have the input line, excuse me. So let me copy that code. All right. If number 1 times number 2, that's what I have in the algorithm, right? So plan 2, this one. So this is greater than 0. So it should be less than 0. Is that what I have? Yeah. Plan 2, yes. Okay. Print else. Okay. Print no. So there you have it. We make our code elegant by going over one more iteration. So let's run this again. All right. So negative 20, 20, get yes. Run again. Negative 20, negative 20, got no. 20 and 20, got no as well. So at this point, we can submit this solution. So there you go. Following entire understand process to solve this problem much elegantly.